After 7 seasons of #blessed domination, it seemed like all everyone wanted was for another team or driver to put themselves into the mix and make Formula 1 interesting again. We got sniffs of that with the likes of Ferrari and Sebastian Vettel stepping up to the plate, but by the summer break every year it seemed inevitable that Lewis Hamilton was going to wrap up the title with just a handful of Grand Prix to go. So then, a few years later, why exactly do fans want those days back? Hey there guys, I'm Will and welcome to FP1. And as we're sat in the summer break of 2023, anyone who still thinks Max Verstappen might see competition for this year's crown has either been watching the wrong season or just isn't a Formula 1 fan. Yet again, we're sat here moaning about one team being so much farther ahead than the rest of the pack. Yet this time, it feels different. Question is, why? Before we get to that though, I have something to reveal to all of you. This is the new FP1 studio. Okay, granted it's not quite finished yet, but use your imagination here. Regardless, this means I've been on the lookout for furniture and decorations to make the room my own, and as it happens, I was recently approached by the guys over at FlexiSpot to review their new E8 standing desk, so a big thank you to them for sponsoring this section of the video. Straight off the bat, I got a ton of customization options to choose from, and then when the desk arrived, putting it together was surprisingly easy. And this is all coming from a guy who built and crashed a plane last year, remember. Overall, I'm really impressed with the aesthetics and the build quality, though by far the best feature of the design has to be its adjustable height, allowing it to transform into a standing desk and thus maximise your health as well as your productivity. Right now, FlexiSpot are celebrating their 7th anniversary, and as a result, have a huge sale happening over on their website between the 28th of August and 1st of September. But you can get up to 50% off some of their products, including £120 off the desk seen in this video. Starting from 10 AM on August 28th, 31st and September 1st, the initial 7 orders will be completely free as well. And even if you miss those, they'll be doing giveaways at the same time. You can check all this out using the link in the description below. And a massive thank you once again to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. Speaking of, let's get back to that. So the inspiration behind this video was a poll I put out on both my YouTube community tab and my Twitter. Go follow me over there, by the way. The question I asked was a relatively simple one. Which F1 season felt more dominant, 2016 or 2020? Oh, and I threw in 2021 as well, so the memers could remove themselves from the study. The results showed me 2 things. Firstly, that a higher proportion of people on Twitter chose the 2021 option, further adding evidence to the fact that the site has a high proportion of childish twat, and that in both cases, you all thought 2020 felt like the more dominant season. And that's interesting, because it's not the right answer. Now, there'll be a sense of recency bias and the influx of fans that might not have watched the 2016 campaign to factor in. But let's be honest, this is a YouTube video and not my master's dissertation, so let's just focus on the raw results. Mercedes dominated both 2016 and 2020, with Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton taking home the drivers' titles those years respectively. 2020 would see Mercedes claim 13 wins out of the 17 races that season, with Red Bull, Racing Point and a very happy Pierre Gasly taking the rest of the spoils. For Mercedes though, this gives us a win percentage of roughly 76.5%. Not bad by any means, but if we calculate that for all the seasons going back to 2014, it only ranks 4th, beaten out by the first 3 years of the turbo hybrid era, and topped by 2016, with the team claim victory in 19 of the 21 Grand Prix held that year. So technically then, 2016 was the most dominant year for Mercedes, yet if we go back to the answers in the polls, they seem to tell a different story. So why is that? Well, what were the big differences between those 2 seasons? The world wasn't ending in 2016 for one, but the more important contrast is the dynamics within that Mercedes outfit. Let's look at the driver lineups. 2016 would be the last year of the Hamilton-Rosberg partnership, with the German replaced by Mr. Porridge here from 2017 onwards. Now there's a reason Lewis calls Valtteri his best teammate, and let's be brutally honest here, #blessed whooped his ass. If we look at those 13 wins again, 11 of them were won by Hamilton. Bottas only able to pick up victory in the season opener in the Russian Grand Prix, because for whatever reason he decides he wants to be on the pace around there. When Valtteri caught the Sergio Perez effect midway through the season, there was little to no doubt that Hamilton would end it as champion. In fact, he did so with 3 rounds left to run that year. 2016, on the other hand, was a completely different story. Hamilton had taken the crown in the 2 seasons prior, and whilst Nico Rosberg was able to offer some challenge in 2014, 2015 was well and truly the Lewis show. Rosberg breaking good too little too late. He took that form into the opening races of 2016 though, claiming victory in the opening 4 rounds, with Hamilton having to wait until Monaco before he picked up his first win that year. After that, the momentum swung between the two drivers, but if you look at the winning margins, they weren't actually any different to what we're seeing with Verstappen nowadays. Take the 37-second margin between Rosberg and Vettel in China that year, for example. In the end, Nico would claim the title at the season finale in Abu Dhabi, before promptly deciding "F this" and retiring to terrorise the rest of the grid on Sky Sports F1. The main difference between these two seasons, if it wasn't obvious enough already, is that in 2016 we had a title fight. In 2020, we had Bottas being the third clown to the two Ferraris. With 2016 also bringing stories like the birth of Max Verstappen and the further implosion of the Hamilton-Rosberg partnership, we look back on it now more fondly than we do years like 2020. And even that season we had the Gasly win and Grosjean auditioning for Oppenheimer to keep fans invested in the racing. All that then brings us to the present day, where Red Bull are winning literally everything. The circumstances are not too dissimilar to those years of Mercedes dominance, but we're missing two things. For one, the championship battle. Sure, Checo won in Saudi and Baku, but since then he's been busy writing the guide on how to be fired from Red Bull. And then when we look at the off-track dramas, there's very little in this regard too. Notice how even the F1 YouTubers aren't trying to milk the views off driver prediction videos this year, because due to the way the contracts have unfolded, not enough seats are actually up for debate in 2024. In fact, I don't think it's too ridiculous to predict that no driver moves will happen heading into next season. So when all the stories we have to go off is whether Fernando Alonso is dating Taylor Swift, or are Red Bull cheating again, which I can't lie, I think I wasted all my energy on in 2022, we're drawn even more to what's happening on track, or what's not happening in this case. But there's even more to the story than that, and now everyone, let's take a deep breath, because we're going back to 2021. Regardless of how it ended, this was a great year for Formula 1. It brought out both the best and worst in the sport, and no matter whether you're a Lewis fan or a member of the Verstappen army, it became great fun to watch. Then 2022 comes around and it looks like we're going to have another multi-team championship battle on our hands, until we didn't. Basically, the TLDR of this video is that it's all Ferrari's fault. The back half of that year got us reminiscing over how great the title battle was in 2021, and how much we were basically missing it. And then 2023 comes around, and the Verstappen show is tuned into every single channel. Culminate this with the lack of off-track dramas we spoke about earlier, and we start to perceive 2023 as far worse than what has come before with Mercedes domination, even if the winning margins are no different to years like 2016. That's just my honest review on it though, and I'm now curious to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think this Red Bull dominance is worse than what we saw with Mercedes, or is this just the definition of recency bias? If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop it a like and get subscribed for more F1 content in the future. And as always, a huge thank you to my patrons and channel members. They got early access to this video, and if you want to get involved and help support me further, then you can head to the links in the description. For now though, that's all from me, so I'll see you very soon for another video, but until then, have a good one.